Alright guys, TacticalRab here today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And after the slightly shambolic end to the second weekend of Major 2 qualifiers, some drama kicked off about the state of the game. Clayster not happy about the way things have been going, but also SlasheR stating that some players right now, the way they decide to approach the game is borderline on cheating, especially in certain circumstances. Who could he potentially be talking about? Very much enjoy your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. We have to unfortunately review the end of that series last night. New York Subliners versus FaZe. It did eventually end, can you believe it? And FaZe won it apparently 6-4. I was asleep at the time, of course, because it's an absolute disaster. But yeah, there was another reset. It was 4-2 at the time, apparently. I think that probably made sense at the time, even though Subliners weren't convinced this was actually the correct decision. The overall numbers look like this. Frustrating in a way, because I'm sure many fans and even the players were like, you know, who even cares the result at this point? Let's just get this thing over with. A massive result over FaZe, because Subliners I actually thought were probably the better team of this series, really. They just couldn't win the search and destroys. FaZe nestled them 2-3-5. I'm sure Subliners feel like they should have won this 3-1 and closed out that control. Hydra had a phenomenal start to this series, slightly slower towards the ends. aBeZy was again the standout for FaZe, I think understandably so. Simp is a weird one for me right now because he starts slowing a lot of these respawns, and Simp is basically their hill kitten. Like, I don't really understand it. This guy had 2 minutes in hill the first map. I feel like Simp should not be the player playing in the hill. And look, they won the series, so fair enough, it worked for them, but they were losing in the hard points, which is where I think they've still got progress to make. This team is always going to be scary and deadly. The players are too good for them not to be effective. But and even in search and destroy, I think that has been one thing that SlasheR has stepped up this team in, is their search and destroy gameplay has, I think, improved with SlasheR compared to RCs. But their respawn right now, certainly their hard points, looked nowhere near what the Subliners were capable of. But FaZe win the series, and a massively important series for them to win, because that means they're 2-1 now, with 2 difficult series for FaZe to go. If they'd have lost this one, there was a very realistic possibility that FaZe ended up in losers at the major, as we'll see here in a second. Now, Skies keeps this tweet up. GG's unfortunate series, though. Wish there was no server issues. Good reps. Still love the midgets and the dwarf, says Skies. This was the tweet that he deleted, though. GG's FaZe lost 3-2. They took 1 round from us. So I think he's talking about the CDL here, which is maybe why he deleted this, to not get fined. They took 1 round from us, and another round where we got joked when we were on 120 ping. I don't know what to say. So he reckons that they won a round that they then removed in one of the replays, and then another round where they got joked they kept in. So yeah, I don't know, he's almost saying that it was rigged in favour of FaZe here by the refereeing, but I think he agrees. Okay, whatever, unfortunate series, an absolute mess, let's just move on from it. And Subliners will be fine for winners bracket qualification, as more than likely will FaZe. But next week FaZe play the Los Angeles Guerrillas in their first series on, I think, maybe Friday or Saturday, and right now Los Angeles Guerrillas looking like one of the best, if not the best, hardpoint team in the game as well. Probably New York Subliners have to take that cake for now, but the way that FaZe are playing in their hardpoints compared to the way Los Angeles Guerrillas are playing is going to make it a very exciting series indeed. A series that FaZe could feasibly lose in a similar manner to how they almost lost to the Subliners yesterday. And then on Sunday, I think the final series of the weekend, potentially, they play none other than, of course, the OpTic Texas team that have been looking very good indeed lately and are currently 3-0 in their qualifiers. OpTic play Vegas in their first match of next weekend to take them to 4-0, and OpTic Texas as an organisation are undefeated as it stands in qualifiers during Major 2. They went 5-0 last year during Stage 2 qualifiers. They're currently 3-0 this year during Stage 2 qualifiers. If they beat Vegas, they'll be on a 9-win streak during Stage 2. Funny, because OpTic dominates Stage 2 qualifiers, it seems, historically. Los Angeles Thieves are terrible. I think LA Thieves are like 2-11 or 2-13. I think, I'm pretty sure it's 2-13 all-time Stage 2 qualifiers. They just won one of them way back in Cold War against a brand new Toronto Ultra team when they'd first put Insight in the roster in a Game 5. They went 0-5 last year in their Stage 2 qualifiers, and this year they were almost going to go 0-5 again before they got that victory just a couple of days ago. Now, SlasheR, of course, admits there's still plenty of work to be done. GG's New York 1-3-2. Hardpoint practice has just not been translating. Got to buckle down if they want to be great, and many are expecting them to turn up to the major and really deliver a good performance. Now, this is where the drama kicks off between multiple pro players. Clayster really begins it before even some of the series concluded last night, saying the following thing: I can't believe we're just allowed to do all the ultimate cheese this year for whatever reason other than you can do it too. Like, where did all the competitive integrity go? There's no chance we're actually thinking all of this cheese, snaking, stairs, settings, etc. is healthy for the state of the game. So a big tweet here really from Clayster discussing the fact that there's lots of things right now from not only the viewing perspective, but certainly from the playing perspective that are wrong with this game. The things that can be abused, the things that in previous games the pros have decided between them to say, hey, hey, let's not do this, let's not do that, let's make the game in a healthier state. The pros, though, have decided really that, okay, well, I can do it, you can do it as well, let's just abuse the hell out of this. And it's not great for viewers either, because the snaking is out of control right now, and you can understand why. Even a player that wouldn't have usually done the snaking mechanic in the past is sitting there behind a head glitch. They know the other guy is doing it, they know it's going to get done to them, so why not just abuse it? But it's awful to watch at times, it's very frustrating to play, and you know, that's what Clayster's opinion on it is. Going on to say this, and don't worry, I can do it too, and I do it too. It's just so absurdly stupid, unaware of your surroundings. Don't worry, loudness equalization. This is the new discovery for the audio settings, which allows you to hear basically everything. So the pros would say, well, look, we know that dead silence is a bit of a problem. The pros would love to have dead silence in the game, and when the base sound settings are worse than one potential alternative, the pros have decided, because every small edge matters, that all of them now use this setting, and if anyone doesn't use this setting, you're putting themselves at a disadvantage. So you can understand why it kind of, everything goes to the bottom, right? It's almost like a price war in a way, when one company will lower the price to try and take some business away from the other company, that company then lowers their price, and then it's like a rinse and repeat until they're right at the bottom of market rates. But it's basically what's happened here. All the teams are like, well, I guess we should probably do it, and all the teams copy them, and therefore we're in the worst possible game state, basically, as it stands. One shot, don't worry, just snake everything. Solo on a cut, just lay down on the top stair, nobody can kill you. This is a big glitch right now that SlasheR believes is effectively cheating, and I'll describe what it is here in a second. So Clay deeply frustrated, I'm sure not just because they lost the series, but also I think for good reasons about the state of the game and the way the pros are behaving here. So this is snaking, if you guys aren't familiar. It's funny now, I usually have to try and find up a clip of a player snaking in the game to figure out what's going on, but this clip explains very nicely exactly what snaking is, and how it's abused by certain pro players. I mean, there was other versions of this clip, but this is a good one of Scump doing it behind the behind the sofa here. So we see this all the time nowadays, right? And a few years ago, the pros decided, you know what, this snaking thing is ridiculous, it's so hard to kill the guy, let's just not abuse it. Of course, the problem with that is that if someone does it accidentally, let's say someone's reloading and they go prone and stand up again, you know, the other team that gets killed by the guy doing them, I think, oh my god, this guy snaked me. Alright, it's time to pull it out, boys. Snake absolutely everything. And again, it kind of gets down to the lowest common denominator, unfortunately. But there could be a solution, right? The pros have agreed in previous games to like, hey guys, let's not do this. It was a big discussion point actually back in Cold War, where Cellium did it with no problem, and they tried to get him to stop, but he wouldn't do it. But the other teams kind of agreed, you know what, let's maintain some integrity here, not do it to each other. Okay, if Cellium was going to snake you when he played FaZe, maybe you snake him back, but against the other teams, they usually didn't do this stuff. However, nowadays, it seems like absolutely everything that could be considered borderline cheating is just abused to their heart's content. And it's a frustrating one for the players, and I think also for the fans. As Arcitys says, I'm just trying to be a real one, Clay asking the real questions here, and Doug's like, okay, how can we fix it? What can we do about it? And SlasheR reckons all it takes is for pros to actually be pros and have some competitive integrity or pride. Nothing we can do, because we played when it was possible to not break or cheese the game every life. I don't know if it's possible anymore. Good point actually from SlasheR, right, saying that back in the day, these type of things that were still in the game, the pros decided between them and actually kept their agreements, kept their integrity, kept their pride to a certain extent, and didn't abuse them. Nowadays, difficult to say. SlasheR goes on to say this after their series last night against FaZe. Staircase cheating, snaking, no red dots, hearing enemies across the map, and much more. How are you supposed to be consistently better when awareness and everything is legit handed to every player? Can we get a skill gap back? Very interesting point here from SlasheR. Now, I do think a skill gap exists in this game to a certain extent. There are clearly some teams that are far better than other teams, but I do agree that like seeing outlier results is not exactly a surprise given the state of the game. Infinity would have clearly designed this game, and it's been the trajectory for many years at this point, to cater to the worst player, to give a player in, well, a difficult position theoretically so many advantages, that the guns kill so fast, so many reasons why the skill gap has reduced over the years. Now, the teamwork skill gap, the team play skill gap, I think is very much still there. You can see that with teams like the subliners in their respawn, and how bad some teams are at respawn on the other end of the trajectory. But SlasheR's not wrong to say that so many awareness characteristics, the sound design, for example, information just getting handed to players, goes on to talk about it. Well, actually, first of all, we'll discuss the stair glitch. This is what Doug showed the other day. This is one particular spot here on Hotel where if you lay down, you can't be seen, you can't be killed, but you can kill the other guy. And it's a real problem in the game, and you can do this actually on many stairs, and it's not a problem that's been fixed so far. Now, the pros, I think, decided, like, okay, we should probably not do this, it's outrageous. But then someone used it in a match, maybe by accident, maybe on purpose, and then they were like, actually, you know what, let's just all abuse it. And this was happening against Doug as well, so he was not happy about it. And SlasheR believes this is effectively cheating. He actually goes on to say, after we talk about the Chroma support stuff. At what point are we going to get a Chroma support from the developers? And, you know, it's too late in his opinion to put their feet down as players and just accept it and do whatever it takes to win games. Where's the pride and wanting to actually be the best, not just abuse stuff? And then he goes on to kind of double down on the cheating thing, stating that, you know, as Panda says here, this year made me realize nobody wants a skill cap. The minute I found out everyone had loudness equalization on, I started laughing. People are borderline wall hacking and we just don't care. We are legit on the brink of cheating and are okay with it. It's honestly pathetic. So grateful I got to play COD during the glory days. Really interesting tweets from SlasheR because, of course, he's 28. He's the oldest player in the league now, apart from Clayster. And it's interesting because SlasheR's always had this deep competitive drive. And I wondered if that would ever go away, to be honest. Right? I wonder how long SlasheR could compete for. But obviously, he's not having anywhere near as good of a time now as he was in the past. And you can understand why. But this idea that some of the players are borderline on cheating with the loudness equalization sound effect, bordering on wall hacking, says Panda, because it's so powerful, and then also abusing the stairs glitch, which he believes is basically cheating as well. So, I mean, yeah, look, it's difficult to point at individuals that have done this because it's everywhere across the league right now, but it's a great point from Panda, right, that apparently these pros talk about wanting a skill gap, but then when something, you know, is in the game that actually reduces the skill gap, such as this massive sound effect that lets you know where everyone is without having to think about it, then they all abuse it, right? So, yeah, the pros have got to think about this because we've got the oldest players in the league, the guys that have been around the longest, the Claysters, the SlasheRs, talking very, well, harshly on the way the current state of the game is. Whether they have the power or the influence to make significant change there to the gentleman's agreements the pros have remains to be seen. But, yeah, definitely a spicy topic and an understandable one to keep your eyes on over the coming days. There has been some rumors that for Season 2, whenever this launches, there is going to be some good changes arriving, I guess February the 15th. So there's been some rumors just, okay, is Dead Talents coming back? Are they going to put red dots back in or whatever? Are Infinity Ward going to bite the bullet and say they were wrong on these things? I don't necessarily expect it to happen. But, yeah, maybe there's going to be some good changes soon. But this is a 2-year game, so it's going to be a wild ride as it currently stands. And even Drazah kind of here, pretty much as soon as Clayster's tweet came out, he tweeted this. So I don't know whether he feels like the tweets from Clayster, maybe from SlasheR as well, were kind of pointing at Drazah on the snaking topics, because apparently Drazah's the chief offender. You could very easily say, and understandably maybe, like, okay, well, SlasheR's complaining about snaking and borderline cheating when he's teaming with Cell, which, okay, fair enough. But nowadays, the argument is that actually Drazah is the chief abuser of some of this stuff, and he's often the guy that a lot of these discussions are targeted at the present time. So very much enjoyed your thoughts and all that stuff in the comment section below. A couple of things to close out the video with. These are the standings after the Major 2 qualifiers of the second weekends. OpTic, of course, leading it up at 3-0. Ultra at 3-1. Boston at 20 points. Loads of teams at 20 points. If you're 2-1, you're looking okay, because there are a lot of teams right now that are 1-3, 1-2 that probably aren't going to make it. So Surge at 0-3 are very much destined, it seems, for the losers bracket. London in a similar boat. Thieves, it's not looking good for them either. All the teams that have 2 wins already, they should be okay for the winners bracket. Obviously, the subliners and FaZe now in this category as well. But yeah, it's going to be very important, right? And there's a good chance that OpTic could pull a rather bogey team for them, right? Okay, let's say Florida are the 8th seeds and OpTic get the 1st seeds. I guess they'll play each other round 1, which is really interesting as a possibility there to see, if it was to happen, whether the new OpTic team can actually take down the Florida Mutineers. So very much enjoyed your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.
Right. Out of all the esports, yeah, do you reckon COD's got lowest IQ?
Yeah. I mean, bro, I mean, bro, I'm like insane. Like, it's pretty bad.
I graduated high school. I graduated high school with a 2.0.
I'm weighing this down insanely, bro. That's all I gotta say, dude.
I graduated with a 2.0.
The thing is, bro, people think it's an act, dude, but bro, I'm telling you, dead ass, dude. Like, it's bad, bro. Like, trust me, dude. Like, it's actually bad.
GPA?
I don't even know, dude. I had to like all F's, like going to senior year, no cap.